Hello everyone, welcome to this brand new video. Today we will going to learn how to read BIP bulk data in chunks. So let's start. For this you need to follow these steps. First you have to create data model and report in Oracle Fusion application. Then you have to test the report output with external report WSS service with SOAP web service. This is a visual URL that you can get from Google, and you simply go and search visual URL for BIP report call. You will get that URL in Oracle support. So then you have to use run report operation with size of data chunk download as 0 to get report file id, which is UCM file path for BIP report. Then you have to use download report data chunk operation with file id, begin index and size in bytes to get the file content from UCM in chunks. Build integration for the same. So let's check how to create data model and report in Oracle Fusion. For this you need to log into your Oracle Fusion application. After login you will need to remove all endpoints from your URL and just keep your host URL, and then write analytics and simply hit. Then you will go to the dashboard of the analytics. Then you will see this kind of navbar in right top side. So you just go to hover in create, and then you will see this dialog box come. You just need to click on data model. Then you will redirect it to the creation where you will create the data model. So here I am creating the data model for purchase order invoice. So for this video I just simply put simple SQL query in this, and this is the output, like report file that I created in the purchase order invoice report. So in this is the folder where I created one folder data model, and in main folder I created purchase order invoice report, because this is the standard version we are following in our Oracle, that if we want to create any data model and related to that data model creating the report, so we are following this kind of standard, that we are putting our all data models in this file, and related to that data models or report will go here. So let's come to the next. So here I am checking the run report. How you also check this, that how it will work, like when in most of the time we are passing as a -1, that means we are reading whole file at a single time. So for this time we are going to read as in chunk, so we need to pass size of data chunk download as 0, that is here, and the report absolute path, because we know we need these two value for running our report and getting the data or report file id. So we need to pass this, and also we need to pass the format of the our file, that will be the XML, and the second one is the our parameter. If you will not pass any parameter, then all data whichever you created that will come. This is only when you are passing any filter or you implemented the parameter there in your data model, then only you have to pass this in that this attribute. Otherwise you can skip this. But report absolute path and size of data chunk download is mandatory to call our run report. So after this code, you just simply click on the run icon and then you will get this output as a response. In this you can see here report file id is here, that is nothing, that is the only UCM file server id. So we just need to copy that report file and come to the next operation, that is download report data chunk. In that we need to pass that response file report file id in this file id and begin id as 0 and size is 5000 I given here, but it's depends on you. Whatever size of data you want to read at a time, you just simply put here, but this will be go in bytes. So when we are running this kind of response we are getting. So in this you will see here report data chunk. This is the our file data in base 64 encoded value. We need to decode this value, then only we will get the actual file. And the also we will get report data offset. In this case, because my file data will not so much large, that's why in single iteration I get -1. But in your case you need to like run 2 or 3 times by putting the last index, like at this time we are giving 0 and 5000. So our report data will come from 0 to 5000 byte. After, if your file having 50,000 record, like 50,000 byte record, so you need to iterate like from 0 to 5000, 5000 to next 5000, and then 10,000 to next 5000. This kind of loop will be going on until we get report data offset -1. So we will check this logic in our integration. So no worries, I will show you each and everything whatever I did in my integration, you will get that too. So let's continue. So as we tested our report in our SOAP UI, so we know our logic is working fine, we are getting file data in chunks. So now we only need to make our integration and run that integration so that we will get the file data. So come to the our integration. So here I created the BIP chunk integration. So at this time I given here name anu underscore BIP underscore chunk underscore integration, but this first is your company standard. Whatever company you are working, that following some kind of special identifier, you need to give that an identifier for your integration. I simply make for this video, that's why I give my name. So you no need to give your name, you just follow your company standard identifier. So let's come to our integration. So as we are seeing here, I used REST trigger. In this, as you see, I given the name of this endpoint as start REST, and then I given the URI as PO hyphen invoice. So whatever we are giving here, that will be the endpoint of our integration URL. So I selected post method. Whatever method you will select, that kind of URL that will be created. So for my integration I selected post type of the method, and I selected the configure a request payload for the endpoint and configure this endpoint to receive the response. This means I am getting some data from the request payload, and also I am giving some data in the response. So I selected this both, and then come to the next. For if you are given the you want payload, so you need to just provide here that which kind of your payload will be. So this is the my request payload. I am getting p underscore agent underscore id in the runtime. So I provided the payload for this, and this is the JSON format. That's why I put it here and selected the request body is JSON. And here you can see in the response I also given the response payload in JSON format is itself. In response I wanted status and message like how much record will be inserted. So this is I given as an example, but because in this video I'm not going to insert my record in the ATP table, so I will modify this message at runtime. I will show you that also. So let's check. I also given the JSON type response as well. So now come to the this is the only summary because I created the integration, so we no need to click on finish. But if you are creating, then you have to click here in the finish, so your integration endpoint will be trigger endpoint will be configured. So now come to the next. I put it the assign endpoint here, so that we are creating some variable that we will use in our integration. That's why I simply given the name as a assign global var, but this is not actual global variable. We are just giving the name, and this is the assign type only. So in this I'm giving the file path. This is nothing, this is only our report file path, whichever in our we are taking from our Oracle Fusion application where we created our report file. And the index is 0 and data chunk download size as in 1000, because as you see at the last we given the size at as 5000, so that data will come at single iteration only. So I just wanted to make sure that you will get to know how this will work. That's why I given the size of 1000. So we will check how it will be work in upcoming our endpoints. Then I invoke simply soap URL. As we know, whenever we want to call BIP report, so we need to uh, select soap invoke. So I will also show you whichever connection I created, I will show you that also. So you just see here I given the endpoint name as invoke BIP, so that whenever we see the log of our integration, that will help us to identify like this endpoint will run or whatever happened, like success or error. If anytime we get the error, so it will help us to identify the error as well. So come to the next point. We are selecting here run report because we need to firstly check on run report, then only we will get the URL of UCM file path. So because in this we are not doing anything else, so we just simply put it here. Rest of thing we will configure in our mapper. So whenever you are putting any invoke, that will or selecting any connection, so mapper automatically come here, and you just need to configure whatever required thing in this configure in this mapper. So in this, because our BIP reports, whenever we are running our BIP report, so we need to pass some required attribute to run the BIP report. As I discussed earlier, our report absolute path and size of data chunk download and the attribute format we need to pass to get the data. So here I passed as 0, as I earlier also show you in the PPT that we are going to pass here to 0, and the path whichever I provided in the runtime, that will come in this file path, and I mapped this to report absolute path. and also I'm mapping the parameter that I saw you earlier, that I given the parameter like here you can see the name as well. You will see in this, like in file parameter name here, that p agent id, and this is the value I mapped from the request wrapper, that is come from our runtime parameter, whichever we will provide at the runtime. So let's see. And here in attribute format I given as xml, because I wanted that file to create is the xml format. So yeah, I given the while loop here so that we will run all file data in chunks. So in this case I given while loop because we know while loop run uh, according whatever we are condition pass. So here I am passing where index not equals to -1. We are going to update this variable in this loop itself. So I will show that also in next. So first you need to check how to read BIP data, file data. Like first we get the file path, now we have to read that data as well. That's why I given here name as invoke BIP data. So this is the only endpoint name, this is this endpoint name, nothing else. So let's come to the next. So here you are seeing I selected download report data chunk. I earlier also show you what we need to select in the next time, and whatever things we will provide in the mapper only. No need of provide anything else in this, just you need to click on the finish, and in this mapper you are going to see what required things we are mapped here. So just only see what I'm doing here. So as we see our earlier invoke BIP, that is the run report. So in this run report response we are getting the report file id. So we need to map this report file id with file id, because in download report data chunk these three are the required field. So in this I mapped report file id with file id, and where data chunk download whichever we are created in our assign endpoint, that is come here. So we just need to map this size to this, and the index with begin index. We will update this index as well. So let's see in our next endpoint. So come to the next endpoint. Here I just created the stage file endpoint. In that we are writing our VIP report in one file. So as we know we are getting the data in chunks, so we need to append in same file whichever we are provided here. So I simply give the name po invoice.xml and the file path. This is nothing but the virtual file name or file path that will how much time our integration run, that much time this both thing will be available in virtually. So we need to just pass the file name and output directory, and the select the append as well, because we don't want to create multiple files. We just need to write all data in this file itself. So let's come to the next point. Here I selected as the file content XML XSD document, because we are going to give the sample file is as a opaque schema, because we don't know the exact structure, because our data will be in chunks. So sometime that data come like 4 column or 4 row, this kind of things happen. So we will not going to define the file structure, and also our file data will be come in base 64 encoded value, so we need to decode that value. That's why we are going to use opaque schema for that. And in this we have to just pass the opaque schema. That is nothing, you can search anywhere in Google, and in that you will find the opaque schema element code, and just save in your local system and drag and drop here. So your opaque schema will be configured here, and you just need to provide the whatever output will come, that is base 64 code, in your mapper itself, not here. So let's continue. So here is the summary of whatever we provided in this endpoint. So just click finish and come to the its mapper. So now you are seeing here, like in opaque schema, we need to give the URL. Sorry, it's not URL, it's the file data. So this is the report data chunk, as we see in our SOAP UI as well. We are that our download report data chunk, return in response report data chunk, and the report data offset. So at this time we just need to map report data chunk with opaque schema. That will mapped with opaque schema, and opaque schema will automatically decode that base 64 encoded our content and write to that XML file. So after that we are going to update our index value as whatever come in our report offset. So as we know, in report data offset we are giving every time like some byte value as well, because at the end when we our data will read whole, our integration will read whole file data, then at the end only we are going to get in report data offset is -1. So here I'm updating that index value, and that index value itself we are checking here that not equals to -1. So now you know this how it will work, how this while loop work. After that I'm just reading the file and nothing doing. I will do in next video that I will read this file and write to ATP table as well, but in this video we are just reading the file so that we will check that our file will our file is right data is like whatever we provided is same or not. So that's why I'm just giving the file name from where we have to read that file. At this time I'm selecting as read entire file, but as we are downloading the data in chunks, so we also need to read data as read in segment. But because in current situation my file is very less, so no worries, I can use read entire file as well. But in real scenario we don't need to use read entire file, because if we put this, so our integration will be like terminated or throw the error, so that will be the waste of the time. So you just need to add the real project, you just need to select read segment, not read entire file. So here I provided the file name whichever created earlier, and the file path from where this will go and read the file. So here I provided the sample of the XML document which I earlier download from running the BIP report in Oracle Fusion itself. So I downloaded from there, and just here I gave the example like example here, and nothing else. We need to just continue and see the summary of this endpoint, and just you need to click on finish. And this is the mapper. This will help us to map the value whichever we are going to give in response. So at this time I'm not nothing provided here because I didn't do anything extra. So I just write in status success and in message done. But when we are going to write the data in our ATP table, then that time I will give here dynamic message that how much record will be saved in our ATP table. So yeah, so let's go and run this integration so that we will go and check the output of this integration. So I'm going to activate this integration. So because we are going to check the log of this integration, that's why I'm selecting debug. But as here you see, this is not recommended, but because these are in development mode, so we need to debug. That's why we selected debug. So let's see, it will be, yeah, this is updated and activated. So now we are going to run this integration. So here you will see, as I saw you earlier, whatever we are provided in that URI, that will be our endpoint of this integration. So here you can see in body, here we are going to pass because I tested earlier, that's why here showing the value. In your case, at first time you will not show any data here, you just your body look like this. I run earlier, that's why it has value, because this will save the cache whatever we provided earlier. So now we are going to click on run. So just wait, it will come here. It's taking some time. Here, because our integration will not give response, so we just need to refresh it. So now you see our integration is completed and given the response here as well. So let's check our log, whatever happened in this integration. So as you see, we created this variables in assign global var, that is nothing, that is only the assign endpoint, and here the data mapper and the whatever our XML like request, soap request look like, you can see here. So everything is perfect, and then we are getting this, like at first time we are not giving anything, like this will not return data, so it returned our report file ID, and this file ID we are going to map with our next integration. So as you see, 4 times it is iterated because I passed 1000 byte only, so that's why our integration iterated 4 times. In your case it might be 10 times, it might be 2 times, or anything, depends on your content in that report file. It's not will be same for everyone. So at you see what happened, this were again assigned with 1000, then again I told you that it will be updated, so now the index is 2000, and then at third iteration our index will be 3000, and at the fourth iteration our index assigned with -1, because we are, that is the end of the file, so that's why we get -1 and assigned to index. So after that our loop is over and all the 4 iterations successfully work and give us the data. So now in this we simply read the file, you just check how perfectly our opaque schema decoded and the append that data to the our XML file. all data is perfectly fine and has come whatever come in our report file that we check earlier on the Oracle Fusion. So now you just check everything is completed and our message is also mapped, and yeah, that's it, we get the response. So yeah, that's all done. So integration is completed. So thank you for the watching this video, and keep learning, keep watching. We will see you in next video. Till then, bye bye, and don't forget to subscribe my channel, like this video and share with your friends. Bye.